What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I really appreciate you being here. So before we start this video, I do want to say there is a sale going on, well, just for me, a discount going on for 40% off anything at gfuel.com. So go to www.gfuel.com/ObesetoBeast, and if you use the code ObesetoBeast, you'll get 40% off anything that you can see. So 40% off, that's almost half off of anything. You guys know that I use G Fuel literally every single day. My favorite pre-workout, it's good for an energy drink if you don't want to drink monsters. 25 calories per scoop. This is the newest flavor, the kiwi strawberry. It's absolutely my favorite, but yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that's super cool. 40% off only until Monday. So get it if you're gonna get it. It should be really cool. I'm happy that I'm able to bring that to you. Okay, now that we've talked about that, I want to get into this video. So recently I found some old pictures of myself, and it really sparked me thinking about things. And because one of the questions that I get a ton of is, you know, were you overweight your whole life? How did you gain weight? What was, you know, how did that happen? And so I just kind of wanted to talk about that, and then I think it's really cool because I'm able to show you guys some pictures of what was going on. So I'm gonna hold these ones in my hand, but I also filmed it earlier so you guys can get a little bit better of a look. So I think that would be really cool. So before I go into that, I do kind of want to give a little bit about my background. Now, if you guys watch the morning oats with my mom, and we kind of talk about her addiction, she used to be addicted to drugs and things like that. We kind of talk about my background a lot in that video. So if you want to get more in depth, definitely go check that video out. When I was younger, well, pretty much my whole life, I've always been in a lower class family, I guess you could say. We weren't definitely not poor to the point where, well, I guess we weren't homeless, I guess is the best way I could say it. You know, we always had somewhere to live. At times we would live in like hotels and things like that, but we never had to sleep on the streets, which was really good. But up until I was about 2 years old, my mom was addicted to drugs, and when I was 2 years old, we got taken away from her. And like up until this point, I wasn't like a fat baby or anything like that. Like I wasn't overweight or anything. So we got taken away from her, and then again, one thing I do want to say is that I'm not placing blame on anyone in this video. I understand that my choices were my choices, okay? So I just want to get that out there. But we're 2 years old, we get taken away from her, and we're with my uncle for a whole year. So from 2 to 3, I didn't live with my mother. Me, my brother, and my sister didn't live with our mother. So it was definitely weird. Like I don't remember too much of it, but I do remember living with my uncle and kind of wondering why I wasn't with my mom. But luckily she went to a rehabilitation place and she got rehabilitated, and she's been clean ever since. So I've been living with my mom since I was 3, I think like 3.5, and going back with her after she was clean was the happiest day of my life for sure. My mom is my superhero. She has done an amazing job with the cards that she's been dealt from her life earlier, before I was ever even a thought in her mind, before I was ever born. So I'm really proud of her. Like I said, this is not a video at all bashing anyone or putting blame on anyone. So all that stuff's happening, and you know, with everything that happened, with all that stuff, you know, my mom, she didn't really like get a college degree or anything like that. Like I said, it's not her fault. There's a lot of things that went into that, but you know, we didn't have much money, and there was a lot of us. There was me, my brother, and my sister, and then my mom, and then my dad used to live with us when I was younger. And my dad was a construction worker, and my mom worked. She just worked various jobs, and you know, with all that happening, we didn't have much money, right? So when it came to food, and when it came to eating, and when it came to all that stuff, it was always the cheapest option for everybody. And you know, my parents weren't educated in nutrition. They didn't know much about that stuff, so they just made the easiest choice, that was to feed everybody, you know, and hopefully have some leftovers for the next day, things like that, right? So that was always on our mind, was money, you know, trying to save money. You know, I didn't have like a lavish childhood. I had what I could get, and I really appreciated that. And like I said, I was really happy with my childhood. Like looking back, I had a great childhood. But you know, when I was a kid, I was not that overweight, up until I was 7 years old. But I do want to bring up these photos. One second, I dropped one. So I did want to bring up these photos because I really think that it kind of shows, you know, my progression, I guess you could say. So this first one that you guys are going to see on screen right now is, I believe, when I graduated preschool. So I think I was about 5 years old here, maybe a little bit younger, 3 or 4, something like that, right? And as you can see, I'm not overweight at all. I had my blonde hair when I was a kid. I used to have really bleach blonde hair, which I do not, well, I guess I do have fake blonde hair now, but yeah, I was a, you know, people would say like, oh, you're a good looking kid, like you're so cute and stuff, and I really appreciated that. And then the next picture is me with my uncle. This might be actually earlier than the other one, but as you can see, blonde hair, I was regular sized, nothing too crazy. I wasn't overweight at this point at all, but you know, I was just a regular kid, you know, living life. And then the next picture you can see is my 5th birthday party, and this was a really cool experience. This was the first birthday party that I ever had that was actually like, there was a bunch of people there. Like, I think we had somebody like did it for us because we wouldn't have been able to afford it. So we had this family at church that had a little bit more money. They kind of paid for everything, and that was I think like one of the best birthdays I ever had. I never had like another party where it was like a bunch of people in one spot and we're playing like games and stuff like that. So that was really cool, and I really appreciated that. The next picture is me just, I think I messed up these ones, but I think I'm a little bit younger in this one. But I'm swinging on the swings, or on the monkey bars. You know, obviously I was a fit kid. I was able to do that stuff. I wasn't overweight by any means at this point. You know, just living life as a normal kid would be living life. No real, you know, thoughts in my mind about my weight at all. And this next picture is me with my brother and my sister, and this is something that used to happen every once in a while. My grandparents would come to visit us, and this would happen maybe every like 2 years, and this is when they came to visit us. So as you can see, we all have like new clothes on, and we have those these teddy bear things, and when they would come, it was the only time that I would ever get like brand new clothes. So they would take us to the mall, and we'd all get brand new clothes, and that was a really cool experience. My sister's little smile in this picture. But yeah, that was really awesome, and I obviously at this point I wasn't overweight either. I think I was about 6 years old in this picture. And then this next picture, when I saw it, it really did just like open my eyes, because so in this picture I'm 7 years old. This is when me, my brother, and my sister all went to go visit my grandparents at their house in Pennsylvania. It was the first time I'd ever flown, and so I was 7 years old, because I remember being 7 when I was there. And it's just crazy looking at my body and just seeing that I was not overweight. I was definitely like, I was never skinny tiny, but I was definitely, you know, I was husky, I guess you could say. But it's really cool looking at this picture and seeing this. So the next couple pictures are gonna be when I started gaining my weight. Now, if you don't know, I've talked about this a couple times on the channel, but when I was about 9 years old or 8 years old, something like that, I had a really bad hernia that was like right where my leg kind of meets my torso, I guess you could say, like that spot right there. And so I had the hernia, and I had to get it removed, obviously, right? So I got it removed, and I was bedridden for 2 weeks. And in this 2 weeks, that's when I started gaining my weight. My mom speculates that maybe it had something to do, like the weight gain had something to do with maybe some of the anesthesia they used or something like that, or maybe it was just because I was bedridden for 2 weeks. But I can remember at that point when I got that surgery and after, that's when I started gaining my weight. And it just came on so fast, you guys, like so fast. So this next picture you're gonna see is it's at my old church that we used to go to. This is actually a church that my mom got off her drugs on. But as you can see, I am definitely overweight now, and I believe I was 9 years old in this picture, or maybe 10, but I'm pretty sure I was about 9 years old. And as you can see, I gained like, there's at least 20 pounds on from the last picture, maybe even 30. And I remember we used to say in my family, like, oh, you'll just stretch out, because I mean, I still am pretty short, but I was a pretty short kid, so we would say to each other, my mom would say to me, you'll just stretch out, like you'll grow out of it, you'll grow out of your weight. And I really did believe that. I was like, yeah, that's probably true, you know, because I still, when I was a kid, I was always pretty active. I skated, I would play DDR, Dance Dance Revolution. I was always an active kid. I wasn't very lazy. I would play, you know, obviously I played video games too, but I tried to stay active as much as I possibly could. So this picture was crazy, because this is definitely right when I started gaining my weight. This other picture right here is when I was in, I believe, 6th grade, and we had this like, it was like a costume day, basically. It was like Western day, and so that's why I'm wearing all that weird like the cowboy hat and the huge flannel. But looking at that picture, you could just see that the weight is coming on, and it's coming on, and it's coming on. And I gained weight up until I was 20 years old, right? And obviously I've shown you guys pictures, and then I'll put up some videos from when I was in my other band, which is basically when I got to my heaviest weight, which was 360 pounds. But I think personally, it just never really occurred to me how big I was, because I gained the weight so steadily over my whole life. Well, up until I was like 9 years old, you know, I gained the weight steadily that whole time. So the fact that I was obese never really hit me until I actually left high school. You know, I knew I was obese, but like the fact that I needed to change this, and this was going to be something that it wasn't just going to go away, because that thought of when my parents used to say like, oh, you'll grow out of it, like it'll just go away. I remember thinking, I would think at night like, oh, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll just be not overweight anymore, or it'll just start melting off. Like I really thought that at some point it was just gonna come off, and like it was just a bad dream. I don't really know how to explain that, but I really thought that it was just gonna be like a bad dream that I was just gonna come out of, and I wasn't gonna be big anymore, and I was gonna be fit. And I remember I would dream at night about being fit. Like that was my dream, and that's why I think I'm so grateful for, you know, being fit now and having such a good life and being able to do pretty much whatever I want to do, because this was my dream. Like kids dream about going to the moon maybe, or like being a firefighter or whatever when you're a kid, but when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old, I would dream about being fit. And when I was all throughout high school, you know, I would dream about being fit, and that's why I think I'm so grateful for, you know, where I am in my life right now. But I think the main thing that really contributed to my weight gain was just the thought of that it wasn't real. Like it wasn't something that I can definitely get out of it. Alright, I just realized how much I'm rambling, so I hope that this video gave you a little bit of insight into my past and all that good stuff. It's always good to know a little bit more about me, right? I think so too. So before you guys leave, remember to check out the sale that's going on at Gamma Labs. So www.gfuel.com/ObesetoBeast. Use the code and get 40% off if you want. If you don't, that's totally awesome too. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. There was one other thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, look how buff I am.